What's up, folks? It's your buddy Fatalroadie. Tonight we're going to be doing the Raw recap. We started off with what happened last week with Braun Strowman, Kane, and Brock Lesnar. We then go to the ring where Braun Strowman starts to tell us a little story about a machine and a beast meeting a monster. Then Kurt Angle comes out with a whole bunch of security, and he tells Braun Strowman, after what happened last week, that he is fired. After the break, we go backstage where the security is escorting Braun Strowman out of the arena. Braun Strowman attacks the security and declares, "I'm not finished until everybody gets these hands." Which brings us to our first match, Sheamus and Cesaro versus Apollo Cruz and Titus O'Neil. Why? We saw this last week. It was an okay match. Jason Jordan came out to distract Sheamus and Cesaro, allowing Apollo Cruz to get the pin. Seth Rollins comes out, and he is none too happy with Jason Jordan. We then come back from a commercial where a stagehand comes running into the catering room and says that Braun Strowman is on his way. Strowman comes in, lays waste to everybody, slams Kurt Hawkins into a table, turns around, and there's a guy holding a plate full of chocolate cake. Strowman grabs a slice of it, takes a bite out of it, and walks off. I'm pretty sure that the guy holding the cake had something else brown in his pants. We then have Enzo Amore and Tony Nese coming out. Enzo's running his mouth as usual. Which brings us to our next match, Tony Nese versus Cedric Alexander. It was a decent match. There wasn't a whole bunch of flippy shit in here. Cedric Alexander won with the lumbar check. We then go backstage once again to Braun Strowman heading towards the production trailers. He wreaks havoc through them. Then he disconnects the road tractor, and Kurt Angle tells him that the police have been called. So Braun Strowman doesn't run away. He flips the road tractor and goes back out to the stage. He chases off Corey Graves and Booker T, but grabs Michael Cole, getting ready to throw him off of the stage. Kurt Angle comes out and says Stephanie McMahon called, he's been rehired, and he's back in the championship match. Braun Strowman then still throws Michael Cole off the stage into the security crew and then walks backstage. This will end up being the last we see of Braun Strowman for the rest of the night. I honestly think that they probably spent a little bit too much time following him around, but it was funny to see him do half the shit that he did. We then have Nya Jax versus Asuka. This was actually a pretty good match. There was a lot of action in between from Asuka and Nia Jax. It looked like it could have gone either way. Nia Jax ended up getting injured, and the referee called the match. We then go backstage where Jason Jordan meets up with Kurt Angle, and he gets a match set up for Seth Rollins against Finn Balor later on tonight. We then have the Revival facing a couple of jobbers who were never introduced. As you can guess, this was basically a squash match. Dawson and Wilder get the Shatter Machine on the jobbers for the pin. We then have Elias in the ring, wasting about 3 minutes just to introduce the Three Stooges. They come to the ring. The Miz says that he was the spark that was missing from Raw. Quite frankly, I didn't miss him one bit. And then he cuts a promo about his IC title match next week. Which brings us into our next match, Roman Reigns versus Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. This is a pretty good match. The Miz interfered as usual. Roman Reigns got the spear on Curtis Axel for the win. This is probably going to be setting up Roman Reigns losing his title next week so he can go on to win the Universal title at WrestleMania. We then have Sasha Banks with Bayley and Mickie James in her corner versus Sonya Deville with Paige and Mandy Rose in her corner. Jesus Christ, we've only seen these 6 people facing each other 9,822 times since Absolution joined the main roster. First it was 3-on-3, then it was 2-on-2, now it's 1-on-1. I'm pretty sure that there are other wrestlers on the women's roster that can face up against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. But no, we're just going to have the same 3 people facing each other. I really wasn't too impressed with this match. I really wasn't paying too much attention to the match either. Sonya Deville won the match. Don't worry, folks, if you missed this match, we'll probably see these people facing each other again next week. We then have Matt Hardy versus Heath Slater. This is basically a glorified squash match. Matt Hardy won with the twist of fate. I'm honestly surprised Flashy McWyatt didn't show up to have a laugh with Matt Hardy in the middle of the ring. Which brings us to our main event, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Gallows and Anderson are in the corner for Finn Balor. Jason Jordan's in the corner of Seth Rollins. This was actually a pretty good match. They let it go for a good amount of time. There was a lot of back and forth between. There was a point where Finn Balor rolled up Seth Rollins, and the referee counted out 3, which was kind of weird because he was jumped up and said, "Oh, it was only 2, it was only 2. It was clearly 3 and damn near close to 4. After that point, Sheamus and Cesaro come out to get even on Jason Jordan. He gets cornered between the Bar and Gallows and Anderson, and a whole big fight breaks out between all 5 of them. Balor hits the bar with a suicide dive. Balor gets back in the ring, dodges a clothesline, but gets tripped up by Jason Jordan, and Seth Rollins follows up with a curb stomp for the win. After the match, Jordan and Rollins are walking up the ramp, and Balor Club is sitting in the ring. They show a replay where the referee was clearly counting to 3, and like I said, was coming down for a 4th time, but only counted to 2, I guess. I don't know. I guess we'll find out next week or whatever's going to happen with that. This Raw, for the most part, straight sucked. The only saving grace for it was the last match. The bits with Braun Strowman were kind of funny and were pretty good. But like I said, they stuck with it just a little bit too long. The other matches were to straight fucking repetitive. I'm sure next week we'll see the Bar facing Titus Worldwide again, and we'll see some combination of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville facing either one of Sasha Banks, Mickie James, or Bayley. Again, just ridiculous. That's way too repetitive. But anyway, that'll do it for the Raw recap. I'll be back tomorrow for the SmackDown review. Leave a comment down below. You saw tonight's SmackDown, what you thought about it. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and subscribe. I've been Fatalroadie. You've been awesome. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, if it's too loud, you're too old. See ya.